Tonight, Club Grant funds save the day in Broken Hill. Much needed money for a multi-purpose venue in the far west. And keeping track of our pets. Port Augusta Council thinks outside the box, set to host a community barbecue with a side of microchipping.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Broken Hills Community Centre isn't going anywhere. The venue receiving funding in the nick of time to keep its doors open. Member of the Legislative Council, Scott Barrett, in the Silver City to announce the significant financial boost and to tour the facilities.
The funding was secured through the state government's Club Grants program, a hefty chunk of change to keep things running smoothly.
What a great service to the Broken Hill community. And I can't say how proud I am as a member of the Nationals in government to be here supporting this organisation with $117,000 through the New South Wales Club Grants.
The centre needs some electrical rewiring as well as other upgrades. Up until Mr Barrett's visit to the Silver City, the building's future was up in the air. The centre was facing the real possibility of having to close, meaning groups like Landcare and the Historical Society would have to find somewhere else to call home.
That could mean that we don't have the Broken Hill Historical Society anymore. That'd be a massive loss to the community. So to be able to support this organisation, it makes me really happy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what outcomes that produces.
Staff are keen to put the funds to good use.
All the way through we've got leaks and so on, so to be able to completely rewire this place and do some repair work on the ceiling, we are just amazed, we're over the moon.
And it means the organisation won't have the arduous task of finding a new premises.
This location is just, prior to this grant, was just becoming more and more difficult. Every meeting we had, there's a major problem that we've got to address.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Now in the month of August, our region's councils are reminding residents their cat and dog registrations are due. Port Augusta is also holding a special event this weekend to help encourage more community members to get their pets microchipped.
Making sure furry friends remain safe. Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie councils are reminding residents that pet registrations must be submitted before the end of the month, warning a late fee may apply if registered after the 31st. The city's animal management staff stressing the importance of registrations as they ensure effective animal control can be carried out.
A lot of people, their second best friend is their dog or their cat or their animal, and it's very important they know where they are and they're registered so if people do find them, they can return them back safely to the owner.
The Port Augusta Council is also encouraging all pets to be microchipped. This weekend, a $10 microchipping drive will be held at Pets Domain, with a barbecue on site to incentivise residents to bring their cats and dogs along.
Doing a small barbecue on incentive to get people to come in and get microchipping done to those animals to assist them in that. So I think it's very important, everybody loves their dog or their cat, as I said.
The money raised will go towards Council's animal maintenance services, as well as educating the community and maintaining public safety.
And you want to know where they are as quick as you can if they do get out of the yard. Or unfortunately if somebody might decide to take them from you, at least you can track them back and get them back as soon as you can.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
This Sunday is Aged Care Employee Day, and Barunga Village in Port Broughton is making the most of it by thanking and recognising staff for all their hard work, making the twilight years of residents as enjoyable as they can be.
The greater the challenge, the greater the reward.
People come to us because they've got to a point in their life where they're physically unable to cope themselves.
There are over 360,000 aged care staff around Australia. Each have the important role of being trusted to look after our loved ones, to gauge residents' emotions and act accordingly.
Observing their body language is incredibly important. So we have a chat about this at interview. And so this is the key to getting the people that we need to have on our teams.
Staff at Barunga Village take their role very seriously.
We are committed to making that something that is not just possible, but making that the best way happen the best way that it can.
The sector has been through a lot in the past few years, culminating in the Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety. Earlier this week, the first Aged Care Reform Bill was passed in federal parliament, promising to restore dignity to our most vulnerable citizens. The bill is a critical first step in improving aged care services. Aged Care Employee Day serves as an opportunity to recognise the hard-working staff and to thank them for their contribution. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
This year's Variety Bash is just around the corner, with many teams gearing up, ready to hit the road. Port Lincoln's Runaway Brides are back, and they have received a generous donation to kickstart their campaign.
They say variety is the spice of life, and there will be nothing short of that at this year's Variety Bash. The Runaway Brides are returning for more, dusting off their veils and heading out bush for the 8-day event.
We love going to the rural towns and spending our money in these rural towns with fuel and food and seeing the community. And sometimes we give out grants, Variety will give out grants along the way, and to see where our money goes it always touches the heart.
The South Australian instalment of the Bash now entering its 34th year, with teams raising funds for kids in need. To enter, teams must raise $9,000, and thanks to Peter Tika Wines, the brides are off to a good start.
It's our pleasure to donate $10,000 to the Runaway Brides. The Variety Club is one of our chosen charities, and it's a long-term partnership we've had that we're really passionate about.
The event will see more than 250 people all dressed up, attempting to raise upwards of $1.5 million for SA Kids. Sandra and her team have been going strong for over a decade, giving back to their community in the process.
The old cliche of you changing people's lives, we're actually doing that, and that's what keeps us going every year. A lot of the money that we raise does come back local or onto Eyre Peninsula, Kimber, Cow.
Teams will travel well over 2,000 kilometres on their journey, passing through townships like Roxby Downs, Ceduna and Whyalla.
The Variety Club do a wonderful job providing opportunities to disadvantaged children, and again, I think that's, as a family, it's something that we're really passionate about trying to help.
Teams will hit the road on the 13th and will finish up on the 20th of August. To donate, you can visit varietysa.org.au. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, purchases changing and saving lives. Lifeline Broken Hill stops by Port Pirie, and an ancient art form from across the Timor Sea to feature at a new exhibition in the Far West. Welcome back. Lifeline Broken Hill Country to Coast paid a visit to Port Pirie yesterday. They were there to connect with the team of supervisors who provide support for the retail operations, the branch that brings in a huge 60% of the funds used for suicide prevention services.
Retail therapy has never felt so good.
The money that's raised for our stores provides funds for the services that Lifeline offer.
There were laughs and chit-chat at Port Pirie Lifeline as members from across the regions gathered for some staff training.
We're looking for anything and everything at the moment. So we've got a lot of people that are experiencing, as we all are, a very cold winter. So blankets, coats, anything.
The volunteers are doing a great job, but due to a surge in amount of support needed, they need all the help they can get.
We've seen an increase of 40% of people accessing our face-to-face services.
Lifeline Broken Hill Country to Coast is hoping to expand the number of Connect centres across the Spencer Gulf, which act as a mental health triage, and they have their eye on Port Pirie.
Always open to anybody coming down and joining our fabulous volunteer teams. We do everything to support our volunteers and make sure that their experience at Lifeline is enjoyable.
If you or anyone you know needs support, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new art exhibition opens at the Broken Hill City Art Gallery tomorrow night. It features artists from Indonesia who have created masterpieces using the technique of batik tulis, a Javanese art form involving wax, highlighting the history of trade and culture.
The Flowing Lifelines exhibit brings together the history between the Makassar fishers of Indonesia and the Yolngu people of East Arnhem, bringing culture to life.
We are, doing some art collective, which is we combine between art and then the culture from our country.
Through the artworks, artist Dias Probu wants visitors to the gallery to know that art is inclusive.
Art not just for exclusivity, but also for inclusivity, especially for the other people and the other communities in Indonesia, in Australia, and all over the world.
The staff at the gallery are looking forward to opening night, Glowing Lifelines making its Broken Hill debut at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
We'll have our formalities, but then, of course, a social evening, which will include a performance by Cultura Collective members Andika and Jaco, so a music and dance performance.
The exhibition will be on display until September 25, and Dias will be conducting batik workshops throughout that time, with the public and also with schools, before moving on to Sydney for the next exhibition.
While Dias and his team are in Broken Hill, we're going to be running a batik making workshop on Saturday, so people can join on our website. We'd really love to have people there.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Time's running out to register for the Prime Minister's Spelling Bee in the Spencer Golf. And whether it's Type 1 or Type 2, the local Lions Club to pound the pavement, raising awareness for diabetes. Welcome back. Local schools are being encouraged to take on the Prime Minister's Spelling Bee, aiming to improve students' literacy skills. The initiative, which is funded by the Australian Government, hoping to provide kids with confidence and improve their communication skills.
A chance for students to spell the unspellable.
K-N-A-I-D-E-L, Kneadle.
Registrations for this year's Prime Minister's Spelling Bee are now open, with many students keen to take up the challenge.
Yeah, it's a really exciting opportunity for kids in years 3 to 8 to get involved in a fun competition to encourage spelling and word recognition.
The Australian Government has provided over $345,000 for the initiative. Confident spelling is the gateway to other learning outcomes.
I think one of the things that we know from all the research is that improved spelling means improved reading, means improved comprehension. And so getting kids engaged in this is a way to see it as fun.
Teachers can now register their class to take part in the online spelling bee. Certificates will be awarded to the class champion as well as national winners.
So the teachers have to register the class and the students that are going to participate so that it comes from the educational institution. So it is driven through the schools very much. So I've written to all the principals to let them know how to do it.
Entrants have from August the 15th to the 26th to sit the school round. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Lions clubs around the world are preparing to spread awareness about diabetes, with the Port Augusta branch planning to do so by being active. The club will be holding a community walk on Saturday, and everyone is welcome.
The Port Augusta Lions Club is walking in solidarity for a good cause. The organisation will be setting off on a 5-kilometre circuit this weekend to raise awareness for diabetes. The walk will start at the East Side foreshore after a quick warm-up and presentation by local healthcare professionals.
It's so preventable. That's the thing. Exercise and healthy choices with what you eat and can prevent type 2 diabetes.
It's the 4th time the not-for-profit will hold this event. Organisers say the annual walk is a great way to keep diabetes prevention methods at the forefront of people's minds.
Each year just keep turning up and chipping away. We think this time of the year is ideal. It's nice and cool. It's great for getting out on a walk.
Diabetes is one of the quickest growing chronic conditions in Australia, increasing faster than heart disease and cancer. With over 280 Australians developing type 2 diabetes every day, the Lions Club says they hope their walk can shine a light onto healthy life practices.
We just want to get the message out there because there wouldn't be many people that haven't got a friend or a family member or somebody that's affected by diabetes.
The walk will take place this Saturday from 9 a.m, with families encouraged to come along and participate. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Thursday fish tips with our experts, what you're likely to catch if you wet a line this weekend. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Whether you're casting a line from the land or from a boat with an expensive rod or an old squid jig, our Spencer Gulf fishing experts have your back with what's biting and where. Here's this week's Fish and Tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. This wind has been absolutely fantastic over the weekend. As all you fishers know, it stirs up the bottom. Fish go a little bit quiet for a while and then they come out with vengeance. So this particular weekend, if you've got an opportunity, it's going to be raining a little bit, but make sure you stay in close, perhaps around the Third Creek area or the mouth at Port Davis, and actually get yourself a feed of King George whiting. They should be cracking hot at the moment because of the cold weather that we've been having. Squid are still floating in amongst them, so you'll get, the 5 or 6s, but you'll get your bag of King George at any place through Port Davis out to Third Creek patches, and I wouldn't recommend going to the top end of Wardspit or Eastern Shoal this particular weekend because it's going to be a little bit too unpredictable. Whilst you're there, just check for some tommies on the top of the surface. You should be able to find yourself 1 or 2 of those. That's all we've got this week. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, this wild weather is keeping most boats on shore, but there are still a few land-based options around the place. So there's still plenty of salmon down on the south coast. So the days of northerly winds are good. Just pick your periods of smaller swell and you should be able to find a school or 2 down there. So 40 to 60 gram metal lures have been working really well. Finding visual schools and casting to them is producing quite a few fish. Also land-based off the rocks in the bay, there have been a few whiting, especially out in the National Park and towards Tulka late in the day. The only real whiting reports we've heard has been from Carcass down to Taylors, and there are some pockets of fish down there when the weather cooperates. Over at Coffin Bay, within the bay system, plenty of sheltered water. There's been a few salmon trout, a few whiting, but most of the whiting do need measuring. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Some big swell lately. Do be careful if you're heading out on a boat. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, a decent downpour in Broken Hill overnight.
That's right, Maddie. The Silver City recorded more rain in 4 hours last night than it did during the entire months of June and July combined. We haven't seen that much rainfall since early May, when 8.6 millimetres fell. Broken Hill reached 20 degrees earlier this afternoon. It was 16 degrees in Port Lincoln, a bit warmer in Woodna, 17 degrees. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, Cooper Pedy was our warmest centre, 23 degrees, 20 in Port Pirie and Whyalla, 22 in Port Augusta, Kadina, our coolest centre, 16 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a broad, complex, deep, low-pressure system over waters to the south of the country is moving slowly eastwards. A series of vigorous cold fronts associated with the low will extend over South Australia, leading to some windy conditions. A high-pressure system will move across from the west later in the weekend. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Northwesterly winds between 20 and 30 knots. Seas will be between 2 and 3 metres, and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre. A very high chance of showers in Port Lincoln tomorrow, 15 degrees and up to 6 millimetres of rain. Showers in Cleve as well, set to top 14 degrees there, between 8 and 16 in Woodna. Whyalla and Port Augusta will have a shower or 2, reaching 18, between 7 and 15 in Kadina, and a shower expected there. Port Pirie is heading for 17 on Friday, just 12 degrees in Clare tomorrow, and Broken Hill will be mostly sunny but becoming windy at the same time, 18 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Saturday's outlook. The chance of thunderstorm in Port Lincoln, 15 degrees, 15 in Woodna as well. High chance of showers. Rain is forecast for the rest of the region as well, except for Cooper Pedy and Broken Hill. Moving on to Sunday's forecast, showers and 16 in Port Pirie, 16 in Woodna and Whyalla with partly cloudy conditions. Port Lincoln has a medium chance of showers, most likely most likely in the morning 15 degrees. And finally, our first look at how Monday is shaping up. The umbrella can have the day off, partly cloudy to mostly sunny conditions across the board. 15 in Broken Hill, Kadina and Adelaide, 16 in Whyalla and Port Pirie, and Hawker residents can expect some morning fog on Monday. Frosty, then mostly sunny in Port Augusta, 19 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. Maddie, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, have a lovely evening and we'll see you tomorrow at the early time of 5 p.m. Good night.